tip of the week is brought to you by Northwest Outfitters, located at the Village at Riverstone in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
If I just drift up to the side without dipping the rod and back out. A couple of the keys to the Spey cast. Wherever I start the tip on my back cast, it stays level, whether it's here or here. I want to come up, stay level, and then back out and shoot to the top of the mountains. There's quite a few variables involved, as you can see. When I start struggling, the first two I go for are slowing down so you can feel the rod load and engaging your left hand. Your left hand is all your power drive. Your right is just a guide. So by pulling harder on that left hand, you're working less and you're making this rod work in your favor. So this is our winter sink tip selection that we cast mostly off Skagit heads. These are Mo tips. Rio makes a great product that actually have 7.5 float and then 2.5 feet of sink tip, or in this case, it's 5 and 5. So the T11, we use tungsten impregnated line nowadays instead of leaded line, which is much healthier for everybody involved. But the tungsten in it is what helps it sink. So if we only have 2.5 foot compared to 5 feet, that's a different sink rate. And then we get to full 10-foot sink tips for real winter fishing. This is T8, T10, and T14. So with a few sink tips, you can fish different conditions, different depths of water, making sure your fly is getting down where it needs to be during the cold months. The water that we're looking for here has a nice riffle, kind of a longer rapid, but then some really nice soft water on the shoulder here. So the setup that we want to use here is a weighted fly. Black and blue, when in doubt, is always a good color. But a little weight to the fly and then a long poly leader. This is actually an intermediate with a very slow rate of sink, but it'll kind of help with the cast on this line, but also slow the swing down a little bit. We're doing this setup instead of a full sink tip because we want our fly to get down in the water column a little bit, because as the water gets cold, the fish want a little closer to them. But we don't want a full sink tip because we know in this run, the slow water inside has boulders that we don't want to get hung up on. So having a different setup for different runs can be effective.